this year's election went pretty smoothly. We had a number of changes that went into effect, and I think the system that we used and the vendor that we used made it a lot easier for people to be sure that their vote was counted. Having 16 and 17-year-olds vote and released felons vote, I think went smoothly and garnered us a lot of attention, but I think that in the end, the whole process worked very well, and the election worked like it's supposed to.
We expanded the number of people and the number of groups that could vote. So Jesse Carpenter did an excellent job making sure that 16-year-olds could vote. Same-day registration went well. I haven't heard of any issues in allowing felons to be able to vote. I was proud that we didn't have any issues, and some of the things that we accomplished even made the national news, so you can't mind that.
I think the city made it easier for those folks to all get a chance to vote. I talked to a couple of the youngsters that had voted, and seriously, it made me cry what they had to say about their voting experience.
Regardless of who's on the ballot or how many people are on the ballot, I feel like it's important to have an opinion and to have beliefs and to go out and express those. So, just because there's one person on the ballot doesn't mean there isn't a write-in option, doesn't mean that other people can't, have their opinion. And I feel as though if people want to have a say and think that they should be able to complain or say something about what's going on, or decide that what someone is doing is good and support them, then they should go out and support them and vote. I don't think that right to complain and the right to say this isn't right and the right to say I want something to change is used if you didn't go out and vote in the first place. It's something that people worked really hard to get, and people here worked really hard to get for 16-year-olds. People worked really hard to get for other groups for a really long time, and now I'm given that right, and I'm going to take advantage of it.
Mostly because I can, because I'm 17, and I think it's really great to be able to vote in a local election. Political efficacy, you should be able to choose who represents you in a democratic government. It's really simple. It's not a hassle or anything. You just come right down and do it.
I was nervous about that the process would be difficult, but it was a very sort of 1-2 step process. The ballot was easy, and then turning it in was very easy. I think it's important that we all are doing our part to show our government that we care and that we want, as a generation, we're going to care about our government, and we want our government to represent us and pass legislation that we care about. So it's important for us to start out by making those choices, by doing that voting. I started out hearing about this through the students at my school who were very integral in passing the Takoma Park city government rule. They came and talked at the city council meetings about making sure that teenagers, 16-year-olds, were represented in the city council voting elections. So they were integral in making me want to also come out and do my part. And early voting always helps.
I think it's pretty cool that in Takoma Park you can vote when you're under 18. So I'm 17 and I get to vote in a local election, so that's pretty exciting. So I wanted to participate. I would definitely recommend that all my peers do the same. It's a privilege to be able to vote at a young age, and so I think that everyone should take advantage of that opportunity and try to help our community.
We had 59 youngsters who are age 16 and 17 vote, which is a good thing. And I'm especially glad that as many people voted who did, because their voting basically is a testament, when there is not a competitive race, to the value they place on their vote, and the value they place on our city.
And Ward 4 was a little strange because there was someone who ran against me and then withdrew the week before the election. His name remained on the ballot, so it seemed to me that he was still had the potential to get the most votes. So I continued to campaign. The number one issue are the young people on the street corners that really are looking for jobs. They're trying to get a job or a job that pays a livable wage. It's a segment of our population that we need to pay more attention to and help them to develop additional skills so that they are more employable and work with the employers to find more jobs and what we need to do to get more jobs in the community.
The Flower Avenue Green Street project has been going on for probably 3 years now. First, we had to get the transfer of the road to the city, and then we got some money allocated from the State Highway Administration and money to replace the sidewalk on the unincorporated part of the city from Montgomery County. But this past session, we received a grant for over $1 million. We've received other grants for stormwater management, and we're also going to get money for the Community Development Block Grant Program. But we still need money for outdoor furniture, covered bus stops, and a number of other issues that we could have great amenities on Flower Avenue.
For some reason, all of a sudden they're not feeling as safe as they used to. And I think we have an incredibly good police department, and they're just the best. So just communication, making sure people know that we have a full-service police department that's really here to take care of us.
The main issue in our ward is to make sure that to do what we can to assure that the Purple Line gets final federal funding, and we'll start construction approximately 2 years from now, sometime in 2015, we're told. Related to that is a very important issue, and that is that we have what's called the Takoma Langley Sector Plan that's been formally adopted by Montgomery County, and that will allow for mixed-use development around the Purple Line station when it's completed at New Hampshire Avenue and University Boulevard.
I think the environmental sustainability work that we've done over the past couple of years, we need to continue that and move from theory to actual practice and implement some programs.
We pay taxes that are duplications of things that the county does, but they don't do them for us. They do them for the rest of the county, but not for us.
Tax duplication has ramifications for everything in our city. The services that we continue to provide, the number of city staff. It's a huge, very important issue. We have to get it resolved as soon as possible.
If we can solve it, it will be a tremendous help to the governance of the city and to our revenues. If we can't solve it and it continues to drag on, it's going to hurt us severely financially, and it'll affect our budget radically. And so it needs to be resolved, and hopefully it can be done between now and the next election for the county council.
For the next 2 years, I think two of the issues that are going to take a lot of time are tax duplication, where we want to make sure that our residents don't continue to pay taxes to both the county and the city for services that the city provides. And the other one is going to be working out the details as Washington Adventist Hospital goes forward with their certificate of need process, that if we have to make the assumption that the hospital is going to be moving to White Oak, and what will be left on this campus and how that will provide services to the residents of the city.
Tonight we had the D20, District 20 candidates for delegate come out and actually get to have a conversation with residents. I tried to make it specifically about Takoma Park, but residents had all types of questions, whether or not it's education or health care. But it was a chance for candidates for the position that Heather Mazur is going to be leaving, a chance for residents to talk to these people.
I met with Mr. Jared Smith. He wanted me to get involved in what our community is doing the Takoma Park community. He wanted me to host this forum as a way to involve our campus, our students, and our university as a whole in what this community is doing.
The main issues facing in Montgomery County right now, or really it's a question of inequality. What kind of county do we really want to be? What does the achievement gap mean? How do we close it? How do we help all the children here get the same benefits of a great education that some of the children get here? What are we going to do about the environment? What's happened with 10 Mile Creek, the up-county area? How do we preserve our existing natural resources? And also, we want to talk about what's going to happen with development across the county, how we can get renters involved, because right now we're at a point where development is threatening affordable housing and homeowners. So I've been working with Impact Silver Spring, where I'm the vice president, with the ACLU, different organizations that I'm involved in to help communities come together and fight for their common interests.
Takoma Park is one of the most diverse legislative districts in the state. It's also the most progressive, I would say. But in the last 10, 20 years, we've witnessed some great changes. Montgomery County is now majority-minority, and that is beginning to have an impact on how policy should be made here. Takoma Park has a huge range of incomes. If you look at the Langley Crossroads area and Old Town, you'll see a wide variety of people who live here. And so, we're already beginning to see in our school system, you've got 50% of the kids now have at one point been on free and reduced meals. We've got affordable housing issues that impact seniors, especially in Takoma Park, even homeowners, where, because Takoma Park basically has a double property tax rate of the rest of the county, we have a lot of unique needs. And so, to my mind, heading into Annapolis, I think the biggest issue and challenge is going to be somehow uniting the Montgomery County political delegation to represent strongly this new need in Montgomery County and especially in Takoma Park. And really that's basically going to be a fight for funding. Right now the county gets fewer dollars back for its tax money that it sends to the state in terms of school construction dollars than much of the state. And I think, for a long time that's been fine. We've had a progressive political perspective. But in the last 10 years, as I mentioned, of course, we've got, increasing pockets of poverty in Montgomery County. And so as this continues to be an unmet social need in education and service delivery, healthcare, seniors benefits, energy assistance, we're going to need to fight for these dollars to come back to Montgomery County. So I hope to be a part of the legislative team that makes that happen.
I grew up here in Silver Spring and Long Branch. Over the last 30 years, I've watched us grow into a very diverse, thriving economy. Not everyone's benefited from that. I want to make sure that progress is shared equally. So I'm talking about things like education reform. We've had 20 years of the achievement gap for low-income and minority students closing. The last 2 years it's starting to widen. That's something we need to address in a county that spends $2.2 billion on education. In a state that prides itself on its education system, that's not acceptable. We also need to make sure that we're investing in the jobs of the future and making sure our folks have economic development and high-paying job opportunities. So that's things like increasing the minimum wage to at least $10 an hour. It's things like investing in transit-oriented development like the Purple Line and rapid transit so commerce can go across the county and folks can get to jobs across the county. And we also need an equal pay law. Women are paid 80 cents on the dollar here in Maryland for men. If you're a Latina woman, it's 46 cents on the dollar. If you're African American, it's 70 cents. So we need to make sure women are paid equally for equal work. We also need to make sure that we're helping families with things like paid sick leave so that they can take care of their family if they have a sick one and they accrue that in their jobs. The third issue I'm talking about is equal rights for all and criminal justice reform. We have a system here that focuses too much on mass incarceration as opposed to rehabilitation. I think we need to responsibly decriminalize marijuana, make sure that our students and young adults who are caught with simple possession aren't marked for life and can't go to school or get a job and participate in the economy. We also need to make sure that transgender folks are included in anti-discrimination laws, and that's something we haven't done here yet in Maryland. We have an opportunity to live in a kind of really inclusive, diverse, thriving society here in Maryland, particularly in District 20, and these are some of the issues that I think are going to help get us there.
We want to look at building a local economy. What is a progressive economic agenda? And so what I'm arguing right now is that if you as a normal person wanted to invest in a local Maryland business, it's very difficult to do. So more than all the money in the banks and all that is securities. We're talking stocks, annuities, and so all that capital is leaving Maryland. It's going to the big corporations, and we say, oh, those are bad corporations, they're harming our community. but there are only options for investment. So if we can just kind of shift our securities laws to allow Maryland people to invest in local businesses, we can grow our local businesses, and we also need to look at creating a state bank because a lot of these small businesses are struggling to get capital, and big banks aren't interested in growing Maryland's economy. They're interested in returning profits to their shareholders, so we need a state bank to do that. So that's local economic development. Also, I'm really advocating for a single-payer health care. The way to do that is we're spending over $100 billion every year to enforce marijuana possession. The Cato Institute estimates there's an additional $53 million that we could harvest by taxing its sale. I think it's probably 4 times that. So there's a revenue source right there, but also states like Vermont, who in 2011 passed single-payer health care, if we can join up with them in compact, we can pool our costs together and actually achieve single-payer health care on a state level.
Tax duplication is a major problem, a major dilemma, because of the disconnect between the county government and what the state law says the county should do in terms of tax rebates. Recently, the Office of Legislative Oversight of the county put forth a proposal that said state law is too lenient. We don't have to give back more than property taxes. So in Annapolis, I'd be an advocate in that regard to try to amend the tax code so that Takoma Park can get their fair share. It only represents a small portion of the county's budget of what Takoma Park would receive, but it makes a big difference to the citizens here.
The number one issue is what I call economic justice issues. Minimum wage, paid sick leave, and family leave, which is something that sometimes gets lost in the shuffle, but it's important. We ought to be expanding family leave beyond that which the federal law provides, and we should expand it in terms of state law. There are some proposals before the legislature that I'd like to see move forward, and those are the number one issues. But I would also say environmental issues are crucial, as well as education are probably the top 3 issues.
There are a lot of issues that I care about. My experience focuses on economics and civil rights issues, which I've worked on for the past 15 years as a community organizer, as a Capitol Hill staffer, as a civic association leader, as well as currently at a nonprofit helping low-income individuals. So the issues that I'm focusing on as my priorities are the issues where I have the most experience.
I'm a first-generation college student. Education is extremely important to me. So universal pre-K is number 1 on my list. Maryland currently doesn't have it, and it's something we can really get pushed forward in the next session, and if not, the session after that. Some of my other priorities include the decriminalization of marijuana, or the legalization of marijuana. We're going to tax and regulate it. For transportation, I support the Purple Line. It's going to take cars off the road. It's going to promote more walkable communities. So education, transportation, and decriminalization of marijuana are some of my priorities.
The issues that I hear from constituents by far the most are they tell us to go to Annapolis to protect the environment. People are very concerned not just about the Chesapeake Bay, but about public health and food safety and things like that, and Sligo Creek and Rock Creek. People tell us to maintain great public schools, and we're proud we have the best public schools in the country 5 years in a row. And people ask a lot about health care. They have a lot of individual issues with health care, so we were proud to get the ACA passed through Congress, get it up and running. It's having some implementation problems with the federal exchange, but in Maryland we're getting a lot of people signed up and doing a good job. So we just try to stay responsive and do what we can to improve people's lives, but people should know to contact us if there's anything we can help with.
For District 20, we're one of the progressive, one of the leaders in a lot of things in Maryland, whether it's health care, marriage equality, and since we are leaders in a lot of legislation, it's important to make sure that whomever is going to take Heather Mazur's spot is someone that would be able to, one, propose legislation that would be a leader on the environment, for example, but also be able to pass legislation. A lot of the other delegations in the state look at District 20 as the progressive district in Maryland.
So we're out here today on Carroll Avenue at the Takoma Urban Park, where a bike share station was just installed behind me. It's one of 5 bike share stations that will be in the city of Takoma Park, as well as several others that will be nearby in Silver Spring, in the district, at the metro station, in Long Branch. The way that the stations were decided where they would go in the city was in collaboration with Montgomery County, who's installing the system, as well as based on a lot of feedback that was received by the city through an online survey last year that we distributed and got several responses, over 400 responses. And there was high demand for bike share stations all over the city of Takoma Park, and we had to be strategic and see where they would go. This one was installed here today. Also today there will be another station installed at the city public parking lot near the food co-op in the Takoma Junction. We're looking forward to all the stations being installed so that we can start to get an idea of how the system is being used by residents here in the city and visitors to our commercial districts.
Today I'm going to be riding a Capital Bikeshare bike to all of the Montgomery County stations. That's approximately, the route's about 34 miles. I expect it to take at least 2.5 hours. At each station I'm going to switch bikes and ride a new bike. I'm going to end up at something called the Moco Epic. It's a 2-day festival put on for mountain bikers in the local area. Capital Bikeshare is one of the sponsors for that event this weekend, and they wanted someone to do this ride and then end up at that festival. Not much preparation. I ride on a regular basis. I ride many different types of bikes. This bike looks to be rather comfortable. It's perfect for city use, which is what I'll be doing. The only challenges I might run into are dodging traffic. I'm usually more of a mountain biker than road biker, so I'm not used to dealing with traffic and people. So that's going to be my focus, is just paying attention to those kind of things.
The program has been very successful in DC, been growing every year. Now it's in its 4th year, and with the addition of Montgomery County, I really think that we're going to see the system continue to grow, and I think folks are really going to enjoy using it.
When you see somebody, if you're going to the grocery store, you're going to the bank, you just walking around, you see somebody with a bandana right here, right where I was doing this. What's up, home? What's up? What's up, home? Don't say nothing to him. Don't say nothing to him.
I was in prison for 32 years. When I came out, I knew that I wanted to make a difference. And I looked at the youth that was in my neighborhood and on Maple Avenue, just hanging out on the corner, not doing anything. So I felt that there needs to be another alternative than just standing on the street corner. So I spoke with Councilman Terry Siemens and told him that I had an idea to do a performance to show that there was another alternative than just standing on the corner.
For many years in the community here, people have talked about the kids on the street and find out that the kids are really, a lot of them are 18 to 32 years old. My neighbors have complained that the young people on the street are hanging out in front of the stores and not doing anything and scaring them away from going to the stores. And yet when I go talk to the kids on the corner, they're talking about jobs. They desperately want to find a job, and they want to find a job that pays them enough money that they can, take care of themselves, maybe save some money and buy a car someday. I decided it's time that the city council move on it and take some action, but I also realize it's more than what the city government can do itself. So I've started a new organization, going to be a nonprofit organization, to try to fill in the gap a little and help out, see what we can do.
I believe if more people could find like that thing that they love to do or want to learn to do, be it playing an instrument or singing or learn to rap or doing audio video production, computers, if they could find that thing, or maybe they already know what that thing is they love to do and they just don't have the outlet, or they don't know who to contact or who to be in touch with. And so I'm glad that Councilman Siemens was able to start this dialogue so that people can come together, people who have the opportunities and people who are looking for the opportunities, and who, like I said, may have the intelligence, the talent, the gift and the drive, but just don't know where do I find that alternative.
You feel how I felt. Yeah, I don't have to watch the rain again. No, I don't have to be the storm again. No, I don't have to watch the rain again. I just want to sit here without a friend. Shake it all up, shake it all up, let it go.
We've got a responsibility to re-examine this war on drugs, because it's really just a war on people, and mostly young people. 3/4 of the arrests are of young people, and it's racially lopsided in terms of where the law enforcement resources go. And we're ruining a lot of young people's lives for something that the last 4 or 5 presidents have admitted doing, which is smoking marijuana. And I want to be clear, I don't advocate it, I'm opposed to it, but do we really want to put people behind bars for it and give them a permanent stain on their record and on their resume, their ability to get jobs and to get themselves started in life? I think there's got to be another way there, and I think that public opinion is changing dramatically about this subject. So I want to be part of a process where we re-examine the criminal prohibition on marijuana, and we look at the possibility of regulating it, taxing it. Some of the figures suggest we could make between $100 and $150 million a year in taxes by taxing marijuana, and we'd be able to protect our kids much more, because drug dealers don't card. But if it's controlled by the government and it's licensed and regulated, we've got a lot better chance of keeping away from young people and letting 21-year-olds and adults make their own decisions, say between marijuana and alcohol. And a lot of the studies that I've been able to look at, and I'm just starting to examine this now, but a lot of the studies suggest that alcohol is much more dangerous than marijuana. We're losing tens of thousands of people a year on the highways because of drunk driving accidents, and marijuana simply doesn't have that same kind of effect.
And as I lay down to sleep, it's your love I pray to keep. So tell me, oh, do you lose sleep, baby, without me? So tell me, oh, do you lose sleep without me? So tell me,
It was really important doing this. I feel like this is something that we really need today. The alternative into doing something positive and bringing everyone together. Music is the #1 thing in my family that always brings us together when things are not going so positive. I feel like everyone should have this in their life.
Yeah. Not gonna ask you why. And I know I'm dang sure I don't trust myself.
We all followers out there. It takes a real woman and a real man to follow, to not follow. this money gone. So people tell them, I'm looking at my life, I'm asking Luma questions. I got so much to ask for, this is my impressions. So look at me and tell me, is it that direction? I ban my life if I'm bored. I ban my life if I'm snoring. I'm woke and I'm not speaking on no international warnings. I'm living for my son and I'm seeking for no gunning. I gotta show him success by completing action sudden. Movement out there. It's time to change lives. It's time to change hearts. It's time to change souls.
I wanted to come out here, see the kids, you know what I'm saying, to bring them together, to let them hear what I have to say, so I can open their ears, change their hearts, change their souls. I'm not like every other rapper you will turn on the TV and watch. I'm different, positive, and I love being different. I love being myself. I don't like taking myself out of character for no one. I don't want to just glamorify the money, the cars, the clothes. I'm not like every other rapper you will turn on the TV and watch, you know? I'm different.
That soldier, I told y'all, my Lord and Savior, I'm gonna tell y'all who he get his soldier.
You know, it was Councilmember Siemens and the City Council that called together this dialogue, and I think they're bringing together a lot of different groups in the community, but I would love young people to be at the heart of it because a lot of them have been drinking alcohol or using drugs. It's a waste of their talent, their energy, and their future. And a lot of it is kids who are depressed or having mental health problems, who are self-medicating, and it's not effective to use this, and we want to get that message out to them. But it's also a message to the lawmakers. We've got to think about drugs, and specifically marijuana, from a public health perspective, not from a criminal perspective about throwing thousands of people in jail.
We're going to try to raise awareness so that we can get together as a community and find the alternative.
It's an issue that's not going to be solved overnight. We've put a lot of thought into what it's going to take to engage the people and to engage the whole community, to initiate a community dialogue so that we can work together to find solutions, something that is going to be helpful to the whole community, but it's also going to be something that hopefully young people are going to be able to start their own businesses or find employment. It's going to take a lot of work, but I think it's well worth it, and well worth it to not just the community, but to the young people themselves.
We have plans to have a lot more events. We have an organization called Launchpad Maryland. Terry Siemens and myself. In January, we're going to have a forum, and we're going to allow the community to tell us what they need us to do to bring about change in the community.